Okay, so today we're going to be working on a cube and how to draw a realistic 3D object. This is going to be the start of your still life journey. So I'm just folding the paper so that way I can have it a little bit smaller on my page. Okay, so I already drew this up because when I was working on the video, I didn't realize that it was cut off. So this line, and this line are parallel to each other. That's why I have one mark drawn for each of these lines. This line, and this line are parallel to each other. So that's why there are two lines drawn. So if you look at it, so if this is tilted this way just a little bit, this one has to be at the same exact angle. So this is what I mean by them being parallel to each other. This line, and this line are parallel to each other. So they are at the exact same angle. When you start drawing your cube, you're gonna look at it like lines instead of shapes. So we're gonna start with this line, and then maybe do this one, and then maybe do this one. Or if you want to start by drawing this shape, don't be afraid to fix your mistakes. So as long as you're making sure that your lines are parallel, so this one, and this one are the same length, and they're at the same angle. So these are all going straight up and down. So you just need to make sure that this one is the same exact length for all three of them. And this one, and this one, because these three are parallel to each other. And these are at an angle. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. You have to make sure that the lines are at the exact same angle. So this one is just a little bit further back, and then these two stop at the same location. Okay, so we're gonna start by lightly sketching the first line. And as you can see, my hand is very high up on my pencil. Again, you want to lightly sketch because you're gonna make a lot of mistakes as you go. And then I'm gonna do my second line. So remember, these lines are parallel to each other and they are the exact same length. So when I'm working on those lines, you can measure it if you want to, but I'm kind of just eyeballing it. If you want it to be perfect, you might want to measure because they should be the same exact length. And then I'm gonna work on where I think the other lines are going to go. And again, I am lightly sketching this out. So these two lines have to be parallel to each other, and they should be the same length. And don't be afraid to fix as you go, because this is how you're going to draw a really realistic looking still life. The goal is to capture the exact shape to the best of your abilities. So this might take measuring, and it's going to take time for you to do this properly. And I'm sketching out the parallel lines. You can start to see that this is not really parallel. Okay, so I'm going to fix my mistakes. Again, you see how it looks a little bit weird. You will have to train your eyes to catch these mistakes so that it matches up with what it's supposed to look like, as opposed to you just drawing something just because. So this is why I'm doing it very lightly as I possibly can. so that I can go back and fix my mistakes. If you're drawing it lightly enough, you don't even have to erase. You can just shade right over it. So once I realize that I have the exact shape that I'm going for, I can go ahead and darken some of the lines just so I don't get confused, because I don't like to use my eraser as much. So what you're going to do now is match the shade of the object. So you're going to determine which side is the darkest, because there is one light source. Normally in class we would draw a realistic still life, but because of COVID, this is how we're going to be doing our still life learning. So I'm just going to shade basically everything, and I'm using the cross hatching method. And you always want to start off lighter than what you think. And this part is sped up because you should already know how to shade by now. And you always want to blend in the edges. So like I darkened that line, but I'm going to go back and darken everything around it so that the line doesn't stand out that it's been darkened. You want to make it as realistic looking as you possibly can. And anytime I trace one of the outlines, I always make sure to go back and try to blend it in with the darkest shading possible. So this is going to take a couple tries because I'm not just doing the darkest side as dark as I possibly can. I want to make sure that I'm able to match all of the lighter shades to it, so that way I'm only darkening a little bit at a time. And I'm tracing the outlines and then blending in the outlines as I go. So I always use the cross hatching method because I feel like it blends the best. You can use just the hatching method, which is where all of your lines go in one direction, but I like cross hatching just because I can go whichever direction I want to. And please remember not to just smudge your pencil down on the paper, because if you just smudge your pencil and you're pressing down really hard, all of that lead is going to get deposited onto the paper, and then you won't be able to go back and fix your mistakes because the entire paper surface is now covered and it won't accept any more lead on that paper surface. So you have just messed up your drawing. So make sure that you are lifting your pencil and you're shading correctly, even though you're drawing these kind of big and they do take a long time to do. But still take your time, because this is the beginning basics of how to create your still life, and we are starting to draw realistically. So I always go back and try to fix what I can if I don't think it looks right. So then I'm going to start working on the drop shadow. Once I make sure that my shape is done correctly and everything looks right on my shape, the part where the bottom of that I'm drawing is, where the shadow is going to be the darkest part because the light is not shining there. And then you just want to make it fade away from that and then try to match up what the shape actually looks like. Then I'm going back again and fixing my side because I don't feel like the shading value really matches the original. So I'm gonna go back and fix it. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys are doing okay, and don't be afraid to ask questions.